The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. Find your drive.
Welcome back to the LCS Challengers League. We are here kicking off the second day of our second round robin. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Magical and Moshi, even though his name got changed back. Shout out to production because we didn't see that earlier. But we are joined here as we're getting ready to crest into our last game of the day. All eyes on this last series. I have dubbed it my match of the week. I don't care if it's ours.
I think it is.
This is an absolute banger. It is FlyQuest Challengers who are trying to take a cut out of Team Liquid Challengers, and it could be nothing but fireworks ahead of our 4th of July here, Joshi.
Yeah, and it started off, this is our first and second, and both these teams have banger weekends coming through as FlyQuest, the Challengers, here to go up against the Team Liquid team that has been dominating up against everything. But so much of this team has, again, been about the consistency that we see from the core that they were playing with last split. They've only changed one player, and we know that these guys can continue to skyrocket.
Absolutely can. I think we've seen individual performances across the board. I think Yuji is still stepping up. Spyrax yesterday, that man was on something. I don't know, check his PC, that whole copy pasta of figuring out why the game isn't going their way, that one. Because he was absolutely on one. But there is a big focus for me tonight, and it is Masu going against Arrow on the other side. And this Team Liquid Honda Challengers, who just looks like an unmerciful god here in an ACL, Magical.
Yeah, but they have shown that they can bleed. Losing yesterday in a 1-1 split, and even before we look back, before just yesterday against Maryville, having had a 1-1 split against Team Fish Taco earlier in the split, they have shown that there are ways to beat them, especially when we look at the early game. That is something that we kind of see that Team Liquid Honda Challengers have struggled on. It's usually when it comes to the team fights that Arrow and Kimdown kind of take over the game and have been this big point of power for Team Liquid Challengers.
Yeah, and we know that Team Liquid, they have been consistently putting the onus of execution on themselves. They're constantly asking themselves to have to make the dives, to have to make the invades, to have to make the plays. And as you said, sometimes when teams have a good read on them, that's when things go terribly wrong for Team Liquid Challengers. And they've come back from a surprising number of them anyway.
They have, and we're going to take a look at their Week 4 gauntlet as we will figure out where we are on this map. Oh, I see us.
Whoa.
We're right there.
That's us. We're halfway through.
Us.
And we already know Maryville did get a game off of them yesterday. Based on what we were saying, right, Maryville out early gamed Team Liquid Challengers. And even though that happened in 2 games, it still ended up being Team Liquid picking up one of them anyway. But they also got to go up against FlyQuest, current number 2, and Wildcard, another team tied for number 2 just this week.
That's what I was about to say. Like, it doesn't end for Team Liquid. They have today, which is definitely, in my opinion, like the match of the week, but a close second is the Team Liquid Challengers versus Wildcard.
And we got to bring up that matchup again. It is the ADC Slugfest coming out here. The Wi-Fi wizard between a guy you know oh so well, and it is Arrow for Team Liquid. He is a man that has seen the times on KT Rolster, but more specifically, my favorite times have been on Team Liquid just this year. Being able to see this man kind of grow into his own, find that confidence here, and more importantly, find the mechanical execution on the Aphelios consistently is huge, but it's also what he provides to the team. And that's what I wanted to dive into here, because you do see, yes, you have Mir, the MVP from last split. Yes, you have a lot of stability. APA, who is the rising star right now for Team Liquid. But none of this would be possible in this meta if Arrow was getting blasted. If Arrow was the same guy that he was on IMT just last year that he was this year. If it was the same, this would not be the same Team Liquid team. So I think Arrow has really shown off a lot of the mechanics that we've always known him, but the motivation and the grit to keep on going. That's why I can't stop lauding this guy. He will be the best ADC by the end of the split. I don't have a doubt. And I think when you look at this last play, it's a culmination of all those mechanics, all that stuff coming together. You get to see Space Glide all over Maryville.
Yeah,
That's a bold assumption, though. The best ADC that we're going to have at the end of this
Stick it
split.
to it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I always look at with Arrow is the same things that make him a good laner are also what have really made him struggle in previous splits, right? He'll contest everything. You try and go for that minion, he's gonna shoot you for it. You try and walk up and fight this wave, he's gonna fight you for it. And in previous splits, he was getting caught a lot. But this time, because he's been doing so well and outplaying more of those attempted picks on him, he's just able to take a lot of fights that would normally just be even and turn them into winning ones. And it has been, by far, far Arrow's best split in recent memory.
I will say I could watch that last clip and that trio of clips all day long, over and over again. You can pick it apart. We got to pick apart FlyQuest schedule on the other side here, Magical, because we got to find out where we are. And shocker,
Hey,
we're the same
whoa,
place.
Wow.
Weird.
And the crazier thing is that they started off against the Skies and they 2-0'd them. Like, they were so good in that series. And obviously, we're going to talk about Masu in a little bit, but I got to give Spyrex a lot of credit for that win, because he looked so good in that series against the Skies that we were kind of criticizing, saying, what's happened to Spyrex? How is he going to perform? Why isn't he playing like what we saw last year? Well, he's like, all right, second part of the round robin, I'm ready for it. I've downloaded everyone. I know how to beat them, and I'm going to crush them.
Yeah, and it was a crushing thing from mid lane. Not only the Tristana, but able to really find a lot of aggressive moves on some picks that maybe not necessarily the most aggressive in their own right. But we do have to take a look at this bottom lane and who's going to be contesting Arrow. And it is Masu. It is the Wi-Fi Wizard, Joshi. I think this guy, like, you can see how much FlyQuest love him. You can see how much the community loves him. He has absolutely popped off since his short stint in competitive now.
And it's definitely worth noting, right? This is a player who also loves stepping up well. He doesn't step up to you in the lane in the same way that Arrow does. Whenever a fight actually breaks out, he is not going to back down. He knows when he's going to be really strong in a lot of these fights, and it's part of why he was one of our big shouts for a most valuable prospect in spring of this year. But the question remains, is Masu going to continue that upward rise, or is it just a flash in the pan?
Flash in the pan can't be it at this point, as draft is
they
ready to
trust
go
him
to kick off our final series of the day. Let's go ahead and see what happens and get this action started, shall we?
Yes, we shall. And definitely what we're looking at as the match of the weekend. FlyQuest Challengers, they're riding high right now. 2-0 yesterday over Disguise. Well, Team Liquid Honda Challengers, it was a little rougher. A 1-1 split against Maryville, where both games were won by Maryville in the early game. It was only the team fighting prowess that Team Liquid Honda Challengers were able to show in game 1 that ended up getting them the split in the first place.
It's also worth noting that this is a roster that only changed ever so slightly from FlyQuest Challengers, whereas Team Liquid Challengers have everybody still, and it is a 9 out of 10 rematch from when they were playing consistently during spring. And we all thought that Faisal at the time was going to be this really big upgrade based on Philip's performance then, and now we know that he can just randomly just win games if you ever give him access to that Olaf. And Team Liquid Challengers now are going to need to find an opportunity to try and shut down a lot of what FlyQuest Challengers topside wants to do in the early half of the game.
And looking at how the draft is at the moment, kind of just taking away what we've seen it be really powerful, that Tristana, that Spyrex was really good on, but it doesn't seem that they want to first pick that one. They're waiting a little bit more. They're like, yeah, you know what, we'll ban that for now. Take away the Nico on the other side for TLC so that Spyrex can't have that. But it does leave open the Sejuani that we've actually seen kind of risen as one of the strongest junglers in the current patch.
Yeah, there's not a lot of good counters available to the Sejuani. It just kind of is okay at everything in Team Liquid Challengers. Interestingly enough, they have had so much success with Arrow on the Phalos that has been his most played, one of his best champions throughout his career. But instead, with the Phalos still open, they are going to be grabbing the Xayah Rakan and trying to lock out and prevent opportunities for Winsome to go onto something like the Rel. It's a very lane-dominant bottom half of the map, and also one of Mirror's best champions coming in from spring as well. Team Liquid Challengers, they have all the tools of a really good engaged composition with Arrow and something relatively safe, but FlyQuest Challengers have a very strong opportunity to try and play a poke style instead.
Yeah, and we saw how good that poke style can work with Kai'Sa just in the last game. That Disguise utilized that AP build for Kai'Sa pretty well and made it really difficult for Team Fish Talker to do much. And then you add in a Jace that Spyrex already showed yesterday how good he can perform on this champion. To have that both work towards this mid game and really see how they can work around when we tend to see Team Liquid Honda Challengers look the strongest is usually around those initial first fights where everyone is grouped up together around objectives.
And as we start looking at the rest of the draft, right, it is going to be how Team Liquid Challengers has the tools to actually go for some of these big engages. I was looking at it when they were playing up against Wildcard. I don't think a lot of teams would be able to navigate fights and games going up against these big poke compositions nearly as well as Team Liquid does, but they rely on playing around the edge of what is possible. And I would actually love to see something a bit tankier, something that can follow up these engages for Bradley. The Malphite's been banned away, and typically in these spots, Cassante, the Scion is really what I'm looking for.
Yeah, Scion, I think, is also something that Bradley has really shown
Also
how
really
good that champion can be. But it does seem that they want to instead grab away something from mid lane, getting Cassiopeia, and maybe even try to force Spyrex off of this Jace. Maybe say, hey, flex the Jace away so you don't have to deal with what Cassiopeia can do, because as the Jace into this matchup, you can never really go into hammer form, because Cassiopeia will throw down the miasma and you feel useless at that point.
Yeah. And with this Cassiopeia pick, one of the things that we are seeing is whenever you have these poke-style compositions that FlyQuest has drafted, it exacerbates any leads that you have or don't have. If you are strong, it means they are even stronger than the gold lead will say. If you are weak, you're even weaker than the gold lead looks like. And FlyQuest Challengers have already put themselves in a spot where they have the range, and Team Liquid's like, cool, we're going to pick short-range Cassiopeia. Time to fight you up close and personal. So FlyQuest Challengers need to make sure they have the tools to keep Team Liquid far away. And Team Liquid, they need to make sure they can be very aggressive. And again, I'm looking at the Scion here for Bradley. It's a good kind of pick with the Cassante, and it's what they had in order to just run in, and it's not going to die. FlyQuest Challengers do not have the tools to punch through it.
But I do like that Winsome grabbing the Renata Glass into a lot of this low range you were talking about on the other side from Team Liquid Honda Challengers. Scion might not be the option, but they do go for something that is really good at team fights, and that is Kennen.
But now they are putting more and more pressure on Mir. We know he's a most valuable prospect already in our hearts, and the winner of summer 2020 or spring 2023. But also the rookie Kim Down, which a lot of his teammates have been giving a lot of praise, as Kim Down has really evolved over his time in the beginning of spring, where he was not looking particularly hot, and now he is able to consistently make plays for the rest of his team. And Team Liquid Challengers are saying, Mir, Kimbound, it's time for you guys to work together. We trust you to make these plays in order to set up for the rest of us to get in.
It's worked really well around Arrow as well, allowing Arrow a lot of space to kind of be that carry, especially we were talking about the Aphelios and how great Arrow has been on that. But Xayah has the great tool of being able to self-peel for herself, not needing Kim Down to be there to protect him anymore. Now Kim Down can go with Mir, can go with Bradley. That is a very deadly wombo combo that he had with the quickness, Cyclone, slicing Maelstrom from Team Liquid Honda Challengers, and as FlyQuest Challengers on the other side, they've got to poke them down before they can even look for those fights in the first place.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
That's what Wildcard tried to do last week up against Team Liquid. Team Liquid came out on top of that one, are currently winning in the fan vote as well, and it's not a big surprise. You were talking about this stat before we actually got into game. Even if FlyQuest goes 2-0 here, they will still be 2 games behind Team Liquid in the standings, but it'll allow them to jump out ahead of the rest of the pack, right? As the beginning of the day, Wildcard was tying them up. Winsome.
Oh, Winsome getting chunked out pretty heavily. They did put the exhaust onto Arrow. Kim Down will take a lot of damage as well, but that is going to be the exhaust burn by FlyQuest Challengers, and with Winsome having to recall out of there as well, both supports will not be in the bot lane to really help out, so it's going to be about the 1v1 between Masu and Arrow initially.
Yeah, for like a couple seconds. It's not going to take too long for everybody to show back up, but Bradley coming down to harass Yuji and Faisal at this blue buff. Shouldn't be able to get any kills here, but slow them down, make sure they know exactly what's going on. As he throws out the auto tags, I mean, they're sitting in the bush really hard.
He knows. I mean, they know he's here, and he's just kind of watching like, hey, I'm here. You better, you better respect me. Give me some respect. And they're like, nah, you're just a little squirrel.
It does get the smite out from Yuji, which is, you know, fine, right? Yuji's like, all right, fine, I will commit it here instead of having it for an objective or another potential invade coming out later. But Mir also spotted doing the Raptors as they move up towards the Krugs, to allow them to shift towards the bottom half and also potentially go for an invade on his opponent's red buff when he clears out his top.
Yeah, but I don't know if Mir's going to get there in time, especially with how we're looking at the clear from Yuji. Probably just going to be both of them clearing up everything equally. No real exchange from either of them. I think it's mostly going to be about how they play around this bottom lane Scuttle Crab and who's going to get the first read on that one. Because at the moment, it seems like Masu and Winsome are winning out on the early trades.
Yeah, Bradley, same thing, being very aggressive up here in the top lane, right? He doesn't want to play the Sion. He's not trying to just slowly out-farm Faisal. He's trying to fight him to the death up here in the top side of the map. And so far, he's got a big advantage in that regard, but also in the mid lane. APA and Spyrex trading a lot of blows back and forth. These two actually have a long history, having both played for the Maryville roster in the past, and also still continuing to be good friends. One of the things that they often talk about is the number of 1v1s they do against each other. So Yuji invading this blue buff, Mir picking up the wolves. Can they come in?
Gonna be spied on each side. Yuji's got to be careful. Smite secured for Mir. Try to re-engage a little bit. The poke back onto the monkey. That's a lot of damage. And with Winsome there as well. But APA, you kind of talked about that. Spyrex took a lot of damage from Cassiopeia. And now Cassiopeia has found Masu on the other side. But the fact that Mir got so low, same with Kim down. Team Liquid Honda Challengers cannot defend this jungle anymore.
Yeah. And a tweet I believe I saw from APA's dad coming through. Time to swat some flies. There it is. Canes18 underscore APA's dad. Yeah, he did a pretty good job just fighting off Spyrex and Masu in that last engagement, preventing them from participating in the fight to the same degree.
And down did go for a grand entrance right there. Was able to get a knockup, but still, bot lane pretty secured for FlyQuest challengers at the moment. Getting a lot of these early leads and
yeah,
even threatening that they could go for a dive. It's a pretty big minion wave that is starting to collide and getting set up by FlyQuest. And even look at that, Yuji, he's made sure there is no escape here for Team Liquid. They got Spyrex nearby. They got a lot of damage onto Kim down, looking for the Sun, and they're going to burst him down to pick up first blood as Mir tries to re-engage onto Yuji. They're going to get one trade back, and Spyrex is actually going to die too because the turret aggro is on top of him. That's a flash away. Winsome, he's low. They can chase this one down. The flash coming in. The pull back in. Triple kill for Arrow right out of the gates. They're still trying to fight this. Masu's back. The flash away. The flash follow up, but a quadra kill. 4 minutes in for Arrow.
Oh god, that might be a wrap right there, right? We get to see Arrow with a quadra kill and also getting Mir's double buffs at the end of it. That dive coming through from FlyQuest. We were saying it was Team Liquid who tries to make the plays early on to really force them to make all of these fights happen, but it's FlyQuest who pulled the trigger first, and they get too close to the turret. As soon as Yuji goes down to massive turret shots, picking up Spyrex as well. AP already collapsing after pushing the mid wave. This is not just a quadra kill for Arrow. This is a total win across the map. The top lane is winning for Team Liquid. The mid lane crashes waves, denying experience for Jace as well. There is nothing that FlyQuest are getting off of this. And remember what we said about leads? When you have a poke composition, when you're behind, you don't do jack.
Nope, you do no damage, not at all. And with Arrow coming back into lane, not only the Noon Quiver, but also a recurve bow in the inventory as well. You're gonna feel really good as Arrow. You're gonna feel really strong as, even look at this. APA is level 6, Spyrex is only level 4.
Yeah. I mean, when that entire thing happened, when Spyrex spent all the time going down towards the bottom, he was losing minions in the mid lane. He's down 20 CS at 6 minutes into the game. Also, the top lane, Bradley, up 25 himself. This is a really tough position to lose from for Team Liquid, but we also know they are so good at coming back. They consistently look for opportunities to blow up their lead. This is the kind of thing where we will be watching, in particular, Mir and Kim down. They still need to be the ones to try and find the good angles, because as FlyQuest, as the game goes longer and longer, Winsome has some really good tools to try and peel for the rest of his team, and Team Liquid, it is still kind of on them to accelerate the pace.
So now Yuji gets locked down in the miasma, pulled back, tries to dash away, but the Fangs fight down the flash. The poison not enough to pick up the kill onto Yuji, but it doesn't matter because Team Liquid really just wanted the dragon.
Yeah, they wanted the dragon, but I'm surprised FlyQuest even contested that at all, right?
Bradley almost solo kills Faisal in the top lane.
Yeah. I mean, Faisal gets one more minion there, but this has been a brutal counter pick for Faisal up here in the top side, going with the blind Cassante, starting with an early Null Magic Mantle. It does not matter. The Team Liquid continuing to build their leads on the map. Arrow still with that quadra kill, still a ton of gold. APA using the flash just millimeters away from taking down Yuji as they come to contest the dragon.
Even look at this bot lane. Mir showing up in the bot lane, possibly threatening a dive onto Masu and Winsome, especially before they hit level 6, as the Kaisa and Renata Glass Could be something that you could punish pretty heavily, but they don't really need to. They could just stay the course. They've got such a massive lead here for Arrow that he can farm up. Once he's got that mythic completed, he's so far ahead of the curve that for FlyQuest, they can't even look for those early skirmishes that you kind of want to when you have things like that Sejuani, the Kaisa, the Jace for that poke as well.
This poke, I mean, that's what FlyQuest have, right? As long as Team Liquid isn't engaging, FlyQuest is poking. Now we see Yuji moving towards the top half of the map, still trying to make things happen as they take away. Oh, not even a Scuttle Crab, just trying to get a little bit of more vision potentially around the Rift Herald. He notes that he does have priority in a couple of his lanes, right? The top lane is pushing out, and the mid lane, he had priority there until Arrow and Kimdown showed up, and this was a classic play for Team Liquid Academy and now Challengers as well. They are very aggressive at rotating around the 8-minute mark in order to pick up the Rift Herald, and with the fact that Arrow is already on his first item, there should be an opportunity to contest.
I don't think there is any way, realistically, that FlyQuest can even try to fight around this Rift Herald.
I think they can try.
No, you don't even try here.
They shouldn't try, but they can.
Okay, yeah, in theory they can try, but in practice you would never want to because that is a death sentence right there.
Yeah.
The Rift Herald was picked up easily by Team Liquid Honda Challengers. Not surprised there, but it was at least... Well, no, it wasn't actually traded by anything else on the map. Take that back, because I was kind of looking at what else they got. There's a lot of vision control from FlyQuest on the bottom quadrant of this river, but they're not gaining anything. And now Faisal might just get soloed out by Bradley, this time without the flash to get you out of dodge. The flash comes in, and that is going to be a solo bolo by Bradley.
Really smart play coming up from Bradley to get the stun down before he starts the ultimate, guaranteeing that Faisal doesn't have the unstoppable and the damage reduction from the W in that spot, using it super late into the fight and getting most of the damage down anyway. And now, Team Liquid turning their attention to Masu. Just kidding.
Yuji was there to defend. Masu immediately like, all right, yep, falling back off of that one. Don't want to die and give more gold over to Arrow. He's already fed enough as is.
Yeah, it is. I'm just trying to find ways for FlyQuest to come back in, and Yuji going for this look, doesn't have any camps to farm, has time to be here for a little while. Kimdown still only level 5, doesn't have an ultimate, but Mir is still already waiting in the windows, expecting this play.
Waiting for Sejuani to make her mark in the bot lane. FlyQuest falling back. They don't want to go for the play just yet. Especially because, as you called out, that first item completed from Arrow so early on, that's such a powerful moment for Team Liquid Honda Challengers that even in the 2v3, it's really risky for FlyQuest to look for that fight. But yeah, sure, they now have the Sunfire for Yuji, so they do at least have an item completed on someone. It only then just got completed with the recall that Yuji had.
You know what the big brain play is? This is actually setting up for Winsome carry. Okay. Right? You give Arrow a quadra kill. And then you hit him with the hostile takeover. After
that he does
you hit him
all the
with
damage to the
different
team.
crowd control. Yeah.
I see.
And then he kills Team Liquid for you.
So it's the old Mordekaiser strat.
Exactly. You make someone really fed so that you can kill them and make them on your team.
I see, yeah. That way it's just like, hey, yeah, I've stolen your soul. You do all the damage for me. Thank you very much. That is a play, but this is also a play. Mid lane, Petrifying Gauge only connected onto Yuji. A lot of damage comes in from Spyro. But guess who's here? It's Mir on the other side. The hostile takeover almost helps out with a bailout, but now that you got Kim down here, the follow-up onto UG2. Hostile takeover doing nothing to stop that. Everyone is on top of you and some. You have the shield to scare them off, but you've already lost your mid-jungle.
Yeah, I mean, I love the looks from FlyQuest, right? APA not able to defend by himself. His flash, I believe, was not up at the beginning of that fight, but when these plays go wrong, you just dig the hole deeper and deeper. And now looking for a play bottom lane as well.
Looking for Masu. Killer Instinct dodges away from a lot.
Nice.
Only dodging away doesn't mean that you actually get anything back. And Arrow, you can crash that wave, then immediately go for the second dragon of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Team Liquid ballooning this gold advantage. What was the record that they set against Immortals? Team Liquid Academy was like 18 minutes? 18:30?
I can double check that here in just a second.
Because this is the kind of thing where I'm kind of curious how they choose to play from this position, right? One of the things that I know Spawn has pushed previous versions of Team Liquid to do is just go for things that look good, trust your instincts, and outplay people. And a big part of that that's been kind of interesting that we've seen in the Challengers League in the past is even that roster didn't necessarily receive a ton of offers right off the bat, and Spawn took it personally. It's like, why did none of my players from spring 2022 get offers going into the next spot? But here we go, Bradley doesn't know Spyrex is behind him.
Yeah, but it's also Bradley with the Rocket Belt completed, and look at what Faisal has. He's got some Merc Dreads, and that's about it. And he can already chunk them out, and that's going to be the TP in. You don't want to fight against Bradley. He's way too strong for you to deal with. Look at how much damage he just did to Faisal. They've got the other side as Yuji now in the middle of 3, bounced around, no escape at all, and dies yet again to the Monkey King.
Wow, who cares if Spyrex is right behind him? It doesn't matter. Bradley doesn't even have to use the ult.
Look at Bradley! He's just hunting this down as well. He's like, all right, your turn, whatever. That shuriken connected, you were dead, Faisal.
Absolutely crazy stuff from Team Liquid, right? Giving no opportunities for FlyQuest to come back in. This is something that has been so good about this Team Liquid roster is they are so proficient at shutting down any plays to try and come back. And they're also really good at looking for opportunities to come back themselves.
Okay, that's going to be the all-out use. That's going to be Slice Maelstrom as well. Bradley, you got way too cocky there, my friend.
I mean, really good look from Faisal at the same time, shutting him down, finding that counter kill, giving them a little bit of gold back. Doesn't solve their problems, but at least is giving hope. It's a morale boost for the rest of the team. And now we see Yuji moving down to the other side, trying to find another morale boost for Masu and Winsome.
Yeah, getting at least something back for FlyQuest. But the biggest problem is that we are only 14.5 minutes into the game, Josh, and it is a 5,500 gold lead for TLC at the moment. And we can really see that in a lot of these items that have been completed across the board for TLC. There's even a BF sword still in the inventory of Arrow, while just that static shiv and an amp tome for Masu.
Yeah, I mean, the static shiv is pretty cool, but Mir just 1v1ing this guy, no flash.
Yeah, 2 levels down, doesn't matter. Red buff, one more staggering blow, and he's on a killing spree.
Yeah, I mean, Mir just finding another one. That's going to be allowing them to go over towards the Rift Trail. Look at the vision control that they have in the top half of the map. No way for FlyQuest to even try to contest the limit. Team Liquid, I think they low-rolled a little bit. It is yet again a Chemtech Soul, another Chemtech map. Arrow, whoa, just stepping forward.
1v2, he had the back of a APA just in case. Maybe Masu can take down this turret before he shows up. He's getting it so close. No, it doesn't actually get it. I think it was top lane.
Yeah.
That was the first one, so Bradley getting the first brick gold.
Wow, the fact, I mean, there are, I guess it's not surprising when you actually think about it, but just the objective bounty super early on in the game. Masu gets that, that's a pretty penny going over towards their side, but Team Liquid, again, chaining together potential fights. They are now setting up for the next dragon in about 100 seconds. But we go back to the discussion. They low-rolled a little bit, right? On the one hand, Chemtech Soul sucks. Chemtech Dragon sucks. Doesn't do much of anything. But on the other hand, while it makes vision control harder to maintain, it also means that if they can start taking control of the vision, it's super easy for Kim Down and Mir to find these big flanks that they need to disrupt the poke machine that Spyrex and Masu have built. And so, I mean, as they start taking down all these turrets, as they start moving into their opponent's side of the map, and as FlyQuest start losing control of their own side of jungle, it's going to be easier and easier for Kim Down and Mir to absolutely blast open some of these fights.
Well, you talked about this earlier, Josh. Kind of foreshadowed it. When you fall behind as a poke comp, you're not doing anything. You're not really hurting anybody. You can see right here that Arrow, Mir, they feel so enabled to just step up. They don't feel threatened at all from the members of FlyQuest. And all 5 of them are here. It is a 3v5 essentially. APA and Bradley were mid lane, maybe threatening that they could roam around, but that is just how powerful they are at the moment.
They're on a ward and they're just like, yeah, so what about it?
What are you going to do about it? You can't stop us. And we just send Arrow mid lane so we can take down another tier 1, and you whiff the Glacial Prison.
Well, all right, well, that's a dragon. Maybe there is some small hope. Mir was taking a lot of damage, but at this point, Team Liquid finding another dragon for themselves. They find the mid lane turret. They've got all the outer ring taken down. And Alex, in some games, this has been a spot where some teams can falter because like, well, we are so far ahead. What do we do, right? Yeah. There's no dragons to go for. There's only inner turrets to actually go for. Those are way easier for our opponents to defend. So this is where we will look to see what version of Team Liquid is playing. Are they going to try and play aggressively to take all these turrets? Probably. That's the Team Liquid that we tend to know. Or are they going to wait and let their scaling come online a little bit further? APA still has a Rod stacking. They still got Seraphs to take as well, but you can also hit these Kregos.
I can do that, or I can look for this play on Spyrex, who's looking mighty juicy with no way out.
Me too.
We got the TB on the other
1v3.
side, but that is a petrifying gaze. And look at the damage that APA did to him. It's going to be dissuaded by Faisal with a flash forward and sinking the fangs over and over again into Spyrex. Though they got the exhaust onto Bradley. He re-engages, slicing Maelstrom. You got the bailout onto Matsu, but not in time to save his life. So he might have got the kill onto Bradley afterwards, but still the play as Arrow back into the skies with the miasma as well. Faisal locked down forever and a day with no escape, and look at the damage coming in from APA. The follow-up from Mir. They're all corralled here under the tier 2, but with how low they are, the chase down, they got the re-engage, and they've got the double cyclone with Yuji over the wall, but followed up by Mir, still wanting the kill, but they decide to relent instead, taking with the gold that they've gotten.
That's what happens when you're this far ahead. You see that APA just flashes past Faisal's like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? I'm going to go kill your mid laner. And Faisal was like, all right, very well, have a good day. I can't do anything about that. That's just how far ahead APA really is. I saw a clip that he posted on Twitter recently of him spacing a Fiora incredibly well. We got to see shades of that in that last fight, but also Arrow and Bradley coming in towards the latter half of the fight, picking up a couple of crucial kills on Masu and shredding apart Yuji and Winsome. We're getting to see exactly how confident this Team Liquid Challengers roster is feeling. We were asking, are they going to play for these inner turrets? Well, yes. When you can just go this deep between turrets, we're going to do anything we want.
The fact that Bradley's like, you know what, I might be low, but I can flash in Slicing Maelstrom, right? And nearly kills both Winsome and Masu.
Yeah. And crucially, kills before he ends up going down. I think actually the Arrow getting hit by the ultimate. But ultimately, there's not much left for FlyQuest to do. That's most of their major buttons that have already been committed. And Mir feeling so confident to go underneath the turret as well, finding even more. Spyrex does find a bounty, but should be dead to the snake.
Yeah, look at that. Just getting chased down. He doesn't have really good tools to get out of that one. He's kind of chasing around, though, kind of kiting away from APA, but mid lane is really where our attention has to be, because 4 members strong of TLC, and Spyrex does actually make it out with the help of that empowered Blast Cone.
Yeah, I mean, good stuff from Spyrex. The snake in his boot was not enough, but Team Liquid, they still have control of the western quadrant of the map. They have a wave that's coming in. They can play for the second turret here as well. And honestly, it kind of looks to me like they're considering going for the Baron.
Does, as they are looking to re-engage. Kim down with the quickness, battle dance away, and look at Bradley. Slicing Maelstrom's there, and he's got the speed to chase him down, but they get the stun onto Kim down. But Kim down, he wants it with Arrow, and they've got the stun onto Faisal. The tanky member getting shred apart by the lightning coming in from TLC. And Masu Winsome, they're now in a bad spot, even if Spyrex is on the other side. Killer Instinct to try to dodge away and get a little bit of trade back onto Bradley. They've got the stun onto Arrow. That could be a huge shutdown. Spyrex was able to get it. They're looking to kite it back, but they got to be careful because APA, he's on top of them with a double kill. That's TLC. They're just too far ahead. Even if it's a couple of nice turnbacks by FlyQuest, they cannot overcome the deficit they found themselves up against TLC with Mir just shredding apart Yuji.
Spyrex win that?
I think actually he might. He's able to push back Mir, and Mir will at least get the Nimbus Strike away, but still, DLC nearly 10,000 gold above FlyQuest.
I saw this turn onto Bradley from a mile away, and it was so close to actually working out, right? Masu tagging Bradley and leaving Bradley all alone. He goes back in, and the big thing, if he just has a little bit more damage, if he has anything else to help him out, it actually finds him. But here, Arrow, just we were saying, the same instincts that make him an incredibly good laner are also coming back to bite him, testing everything. Even if he doesn't know where everyone is, he just assumes they're not there. And in situations where they aren't there, it makes him look fantastic. But this time, Yuji was there, does catch him out, does give a lot of gold over to Spyrex, who can blow up these members eventually.
eventually.
He probably never blows up APA from this position because of the amount of HP Cassiopeia also builds.
And they're still down 10,000 gold at 22.5 minutes with a lot of gold still left on the table as TLC, you called it, Chemtech Soul, not the most exciting one, not the best one to roll for TLC. They still are going to have this massive lead over FlyQuest. And even if FlyQuest do topple and get some bounty gold on the top half of the map, they're still so far behind.
Team's turret has been destroyed.
9,000 gold in the lead. I want to see Team Liquid start threatening for the Baron here relatively soon, just because they do it super quickly between Arrow and APA. Now FlyQuest. Oh, I thought they were going to try and find Mirror. Not going to find anything, right? They do have a little bit of poke, but it's nowhere near the Meech levels of what he was doing on this Kai'Sa from before, right? It's going to take a lot of time for them to actually get to that point. And Team Liquid going to do their best to not actually give them any of that time as they are starting to push towards the Baron.
And APA is level 16 in this game.
Yeah, it's
Keep
gross.
that in mind. This Cassiopeia is so far ahead of the curve that unless you get everyone on top of Cassiopeia and burst her down before anybody on TLC can react, you can just do this, go straight to the Baron, and they can take this one down so fast that FlyQuest, you've got to react now.
Coming. They haven't gotten any poke down at all.
Not at all. And
All right, well, Bradley.
that little bit of poke, but here's the chase down. This is the speed they have on the other side, and look at Bradley. Looking for the flank angle. FlyQuest will at least bait it out, back off, retreat. TLC, all they have to do is rinse and repeat, go right back to the Baron.
Yeah, and as they go right on back, you get to see that Spyrex on the far side of the map does have the teleport if they do want to join, and that is exactly what they're going
Look
for.
at Bradley.
off on the side, but they know where he is.
They have spotted him, but it's getting low. They've got to get inside this pit soon. They've got the poke on Abir, but he's still alive. That poke does not connect onto Bradley, so TLC, they'll get the objective. The purple worm is theirs, and the Turo Baron buff on their heads.
And also, not even going to be losing this mid lane objective bounties. Team Liquid's going to be defending that with the teleport from Bradley. Fighting over the wolves, fighting over everything their opponents could possibly have. And Team Liquid going to be finding another turret for themselves as well. You just got to pull the trigger at some point. Bradley can't join.
No, but it does seem that FlyQuest are still so worried how far ahead APA is at the moment. This Cassiopeia is absolutely massive.
Yeah. This game kind of reminds me of the game that FlyQuest played up against Team Fish Taco, right? Do you remember where Yuji was trying to turn around these fights onto Rosethorn, and Rosethorn like invaded the blue buff? And it was one of the most dominant games that we've ever seen come through, right? The Team Fish Taco is a team where we're like, fight, never stop. Right. Team Liquid, a little bit more controlled in the way they're trying to do it, but the result is still nonetheless. FlyQuest tried to take the onus of execution onto themselves, and Team Liquid are like, oh, cool, we don't have to even try to make anything cool happen. We're just going to turn around your play. They haven't really let anything go. It feels as though APA is less of a Viper and more of a Boa Constrictor every single time, choking the members of FlyQuest out, not even letting them walk into their own jungle.
You gotta see just the disparity of every member of FlyQuest and how the top 4 in gold are all TLC members, everyone besides Kimdown, and that's exactly as you expected, and even Kimdown's not doing too bad for himself. TLC, they're playing this one very cautiously, and this is a very typical TLC thing, the macro game that we've always praised them for, even back in 2022 with a completely different roster outside of Bradley.
Okay, there you go.
Outside of Bradley, but it's a lot coming down to Coach Spawn on their side, where he really does instill in them really good macro calls. Where it's like, even though they have a near 12,000 gold lead, they're not playing recklessly. They're playing wisely, slowly. Like you said, constricting the life, being a Boa Constrictor to make sure that FlyQuest can't even fight back.
And I wish I knew who was like leading the charge, because it has to be something where all 5 players are working together, because something that Team Liquid does better than any other team in the league is pick apart their opponents, right? They will constantly play on the edge of what their opponent's engagement range is. They will pull different members apart and say, oh, are you going to deal with this flank? Are you going to be able to deal with this opportunity? Are they going to, you know, let us try and die from this angle? And teams crumble to that. Team Liquid, as they do use up the last of their Turo Baron buff, I believe they only got their mid lane inner turret off of. Oh no, they got the top lane turret off of it as well. But they're mostly just trying to deny so much of this vision coming out from FlyQuest because Team Liquid know that in a minute their opponents are going to have to come fight them. And well, yes, Spyrex is on 3 items, having gotten that huge shutdown off of APA. That's not enough poke.
Yeah. And it is also worth talking about TLC's composition being so low range that it is difficult for them to crack a lot of these inhibitors with how much poke and wave clear there is on the side of FlyQuest. But Faisal getting caught out like this, even with the all-out, the dashes that he has, the flash too, the follow-up is just too much for him to escape.
Yeah, that's another kill going over to Mir. A couple of ultimates that will be up once again for the upcoming objective. And now FlyQuest forced in the top half of the map, trying to find something. Spyrex will take this turret very quickly if he gets there, but Team Liquid kind of calling his bluff as they are starting to push up the mid lane as well. Try to make sure that anything Spyrex gets is matched on the far side of the map.
So he might get this turret, but like I said, look at it mid lane. Look at how many members are there for TLC. They've got everyone already ready to look for the fight
Spyrex
and then heal back for the Elder Dragon. Spyrex is just fully committing with a backdoor. The YOLO play that FlyQuest kind of have to rely on, but Bradley's here to answer.
Yeah, Bradley's there, and another turret goes down. That's a lot of money. And he will be able to get out of that one, but the Elder Dragon has spawned. In FlyQuest, they have to fight for every single bush. They have to fight for every inch of their own jungle as Team Liquid choking them out yet again and knowing there's only one place for FlyQuest to go.
Oh no, and now Winsome flashing back. That damage, the hostile takeover does nothing because nobody was around as Yuji. He's even focused away as Sarah takes him down. Fight's still going to be the next one to fall. Technically, a solo bolo there for Bradley, but really, we know what it was. But look at inside of the base. Spyrex, he was trying to at least get the inhibitor back for the team.
Well, he's not even going to be able to do that as you see Team Liquid have people doing things all over the map. Cassiopeia and Xayah currently hitting the Elder Dragon. They grab that. You have multiple members also picking up the inhibitor in the bottom lane as well. And Spyrex not able to get the top lane inhibitor. That's just a colossal win from FlyQuest. They know there's only one way for FlyQuest to try and contest. They saw it around the Krugs, picked that one up as well. And while the poke has come to bear a little bit, I mean, Team Liquid, they still have an Elder Dragon. There's a Baron buff also spawning in 30 seconds.
One thing that is going to be difficult now that you have 3 items for your 2 pokers on FlyQuest. With how low range TLC are, they kind of need to keep these fights going. They need to have the skirmishes and force FlyQuest to play into them, especially now that they have the Elder Dragon on their side. They want these fights so desperately against FlyQuest because they'll easily win every single one of them. But FlyQuest clearly are just saying, we don't want any of it. But
woo, okay.
APA definitely does.
I like the look, right? You know, if you get somebody before the poke comes down, you just take everything away. And now Mir, hello.
Oh, but Mir, that flank angle completely rips apart FlyQuest. You had all 5 members here in mid lane. And with the tanks gone, only Masu and Yuji left standing. No longer can they rely on Spyrex to open up the base. Instead, they're all going to fall the Elder Dragon. Clean ace for TLC.
And honestly, what a performance coming out from Team Liquid. Arrow getting a quadra kill to start things off. Now, you do need to bring a wave.
Yeah, but look how long they have, Josh.
They got a long time.
This game is... Well, let's see.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. There's the wave. Hello, wave.
Hello,
wave. To the wave.
Everybody throw your Zaries in chat real quick
and
for the wave.
Winsome is up, but it is still just Renata Glass. Spyrex still got some time left. The dirt's falling very quickly. There it is. That is game 1, decisively won by Team Liquid Honda Challengers.
Yeah, and for the way that FlyQuest tried to make this game happen, right, it looked like a decent idea. You go for the 4-man dive down in the bottom lane. If they get that double kill and walk out, suddenly they're in a really good position, but it took them too long to execute. By the time that Spyrex and Yuji were moving into the tri-brush behind them, the wave had already reset. It gives too much time for Mir to get to the bottom lane to turn around the dive. It gives too much time for APA to shove in the mid lane turret and walk all the way down in order to find all 4 kills coming through. Like the idea, execution just wasn't there.
No, and that's the biggest problem, is you start off a game where 5 minutes in, there's a Xayah 4-0. you're not really hoping for anything at that point. You're hoping for a miracle, and TLC, they're a team that when they gain these leads early into the game, they are suffocating. Their macro is unparalleled in the Challengers League, and that's why they get game 1 here against FlyQuest Challengers. We're going to toss it to a break, and when we come back, we'll bring back Manziel for a Rally Cry halftime show, so don't go anywhere.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car sharing marketplace. Find your drive.